I just want to quickly go through some of the issues surrounding the annexation issue. Basically, what's being proposed by Israel and Donald Trump is completely illegal. It is taking over a very large proportion of the West Bank, particularly the most productive lands along the Jordan Valley, and making the settlements that are all completely illegal anyway also part of that annexation, and therefore they'll become part of Israel. And it is being strongly opposed by many people. I'll come back to that in a moment. This is not the first annexation that's taken place. The annexation of the Golan Heights and the annexation of East Jerusalem should not go forgotten and should not go unchallenged, because those are huge issues as well. The opposition around the world to the annexation is enormous. It has united a very wide range of politicians across Western Europe and indeed across the House of Commons. I supported a letter signed by well over 100 members of the UK Parliament, and then a very broad one that was signed all across Europe, and a huge opposition within the United States. So I think it's important that we acknowledge the strength of opposition to the move. Now, I am not quite sure what the next move of the Trump administration will be on this, or indeed what the next move of the Israeli government will be on this. But I'm also very worried that there might be some delays, there might be some cosmetic changes in the proposals to annex all that's been proposed at the present time, and a proposal will come up which is going to be annexing a bit less, maybe take out one or two settlements and ask the people there to return to Israel. I don't know. But anything short of complete opposition to all annexation would be actually a victory for those that want to take yet more Palestinian land and the opportunities for Palestinian people. Our proposals have to be: we end the occupation of Palestine, of the West Bank, we end the siege of Gaza, and we end the settlement policy, which has been so disastrous for so many people's lives in Palestine. That surely has to be the right international demand to make. A group of people that often don't get mentioned in all of this are the refugees. Refugees that were moved to Jordan, that were moved to Lebanon, that were moved to Gaza in 1948, and they and their families and their descendants have been there ever since. And therefore, anyone that's ever visited the refugee camps in Syria, in Lebanon, in Jordan, cannot be anything but moved by the fortitude of those people, with that eternal hope that one day they will be able to return to their homes, but also the way in which they've maintained that strength and that culture and that sense of community. And so in our campaigning, let's not forget the refugees and the rights that they must enjoy as well. In the long run, if there's to be peace in the whole area, then that peace can best come by full recognition of the state of Palestine, which is something that I was very pleased to announce would be my preferred option during the general election campaign, and that under a Labour government I would have made sure that that actually happened. And so that demand is as relevant today as ever. But if annexation goes ahead, then the whole idea of a state that one could call Palestine, a geographical area that one could call Palestine, simply wouldn't be possible, because what we would have is a series of Bantustans all across the West Bank. Not my words at all. Words by European politicians who've analysed what would likely happen there. And so the opposition to annexation is enormous. It's enormous, obviously, amongst the Palestinian people, obviously amongst supporters of Palestinians all over the world. But also, very interestingly, it is very strongly opposed by many groups in Israel. Former Speaker of the Knesset contacted me and asked me to sign the letter of opposition to annexation. I've had Zoom conferences with groups both in Ramallah and in Tel Aviv, all of which were opposed to it because they want to live in peace in the long run. And they see annexation as the very antithesis of a peace process and a peace movement. So our meeting this evening is a way of informing ourselves about what's going on. It's a way of encouraging ourselves to do everything we can to oppose annexation, but not to let the issue disappear, because the Palestinian people have suffered for far too long. Those many people in Israel who want to live in peace also suffer. And Palestinians within Israel suffer because of the citizenship law that has been passed by the Knesset, what was it, a year ago, 18 months ago, thereabouts, which also has to be opposed. So let's use this moment, this huge opposition to annexation, as an opportunity to take the whole thing a stage further forward in solidarity with those people that have suffered. I'll just finish with this thought. I've been many times in Israel, in Palestine, in West Bank and Gaza, and I've been in Jordan, I've been in Lebanon, and I've been in Syria many times over the years. And you can't but be moved by the sense of dislocation of people's lives that all the politics the Middle East has brought over the past 70 years, but also that the level of poverty that is there that is so unnecessary. Why is it that the UN Relief and Works Agency, the first agency founded by the UN and the longest lasting special agency founded in 1948, is still going and still needs funding? The USA cut its funding. Some other governments stepped up to the plate and helped part of that funding. But the levels of unemployment, particularly in Gaza, are absolutely massive. And that sense amongst young people that they're educated in the UN schools, which despite underfunding do a very good job. They're educated in the universities, and I think I'm right in saying that Gaza has the highest level of graduates and PhDs per head of the population in the whole world, and also possibly the highest level of unemployment in the whole world because of the strangulation of its economic opportunities. And so take all those things into account, oppose the annexation, but above all, look for recognition and support for a state of Palestine so the Palestinian people can live in peace in the future.